What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's matchup is Do the Wave Wigglytuff versus E-Reader Gyarados. Both decks sporting a support package as well. Do the Wave is leveraging Koga's Zubat in this matchup, and Gyarados will be using some sort of Eevee box package. I believe it was E-Reader Espeon and E-Reader Umbreon. So we'll get into those details. Opening actives will be Cleffa versus Eevee with Gyarados on the draw. On bench, there is also one of those aforementioned Koga Zubats and a E-Reader Magikarp on the opposing bench. So if you're not familiar with Koga Zubat, it does have a very large bench searching attack in Group Attack, where for a grass and a colorless, you can deal 10 damage times the number of Koga Zubats you have in play. Before doing that damage, you can search your deck for any number of Koga Zubats and put them onto your bench if you have room. So very good. Reminds me a lot of Fan Club, which looks like we are going to see from Gyarados' side, which was brought out with a comp search, discarding a Hyper Devo spray and an Umbreon to go and fetch a Cleffa, and what I assume will be another Eevee. Always good to see. Oh no, it will be the Sentret, because this is also a Furret deck. But always good to see a free retreater in the active. If you can go and dig up a Cleffa through whatever means necessary, you can at least put it into active. And here an energy will not even be needed to get the Eevee out of active. So very synergistic. It'll get things off into an Eq War fairly early. And a little bit of shuffling to resolve all of this. 2 trainers in the bin. Technically 3 trainers if you include the Fan Club that stays out for the rest of the turn to signal supporter for turn. And the Zubat gets gusted, so that'll be a free Eek with that water energy. Such a small hand probably doesn't feel good to whiff on the baby rule, but using the gust will guarantee it. Of course, that Zubat is a free retreater, so personal preference if you hold that gust for later or if you want to be aggressive now. I would assume that Do the Wave is going to have to be the more aggressive deck here, just because of its damage output. You can see a double gust in hand. That's pretty interesting. Now, there is a Koga's Golbat. I doubt this deck runs it because you're really looking to use the Zubat's ability, and there's the double gust. So that's actually a very good response. It's not really needed because the Zubat is a free retreater, but it does guarantee an Eek here, assuming there's an attach as a follow-up. I don't see any energy in hand, though. Zubat and Jigglypuff join the bench, and there's a Shaman. So Shaman will nullify Gyarados' Eek, as well as potentially get some energy going here for Wigglytuff. And while we're waiting for all of this to resolve, can't quite see hand there for Wigglytuff. And now a computer search off of that Shaman, so going to go down to 1 card in hand. A Sabrina's Abra, did not see that coming. Goes to the bin along with Koga's Zubat. Hopefully they grabbed an energy card if they didn't already have one in hand. And it will be, oh my gosh, a metal energy and a focus band onto Cleffa. So that Cleffa just became incredibly thick. And now I have to start wondering what Sabrina's Abra is all about here. So while Wigglytuff is eking, a warp comes down onto center to put it to bench, bring Cleffa back in. Eek fails on the baby rule in response. Now, I do see Grass Energy. I've yet to see a Psychic Energy, and I'm not sure what the Metal Energy is all about. Rather, I should say I'm not sure if the Metal Energy is meant to synergize with a Metal Pokemon in this deck or not. Large hand off of that Eek 2. Apparently a hard decision here. No matter what, those Eevees are going to pop eventually. Let's see. ER. There's another Abra, it looks like. There is a Psychic Energy all the way over on the left side of the hand there. And a pass. Okay, so likes the hand. No Evos yet. There is a world where this ends up being a Gust Fest and Zubat starts taking prizes with those Magikarps and Eevees down. Looks like no evolution card yet. I see a Water Energy in hand, maybe a Furret, hoping to Eek, and it succeeds. So Evos eventually, but there's a chance here to snipe something off. I can see a Gust and a Comp Search. There's another Zubat. That'll allow it to deal 30 here. Assuming it doesn't pull anything else out of the deck. No, going to just group attack the Cleffa. And it succeeds, so looks like he is going to go and fetch a spare Zubat to fill the bench. There's a Tyrogue in this deck, some Nightly Garbage Run. All sorts of stuff going on. Good deck peep here. I'm not seeing any Evo options for that Sabrina's Abra, so it might just be there as a free retreater with 40 HP. Able to energy loop with Psychic Energy for 20 isn't bad. But that is going to be the first prize of the match. Also, notably no Metal Pokemon in there either. So we're going with Metal Energy and a Psychic package as a support line. Got to promote active here. It'll be a free retreating Eevee. You can see an Umbreon in hand, so these will now get to evolve. No Gyarados though, so that Magikarp with the DCE is looking pretty vulnerable. Could bounce it with an Espeon here. And there is the Espeon from Aquapolis. No easy way to get attacking here right now for Gyarados' side. Now, I thought the fourth and final Zubat was pulled out. Maybe they looked for it. Maybe it's prized. But it looks like we're going to keep a bench slot open for Tough, which I do think is preferred here. Rainbow Energy comes down for Umbreon. Another Magikarp to bench. Looks like we're going to get off a Dark Moon. Warp gets bounced with Espeon's Energy Return off of the Sentret. Looks like we're Dark Mooning here. One Darkness Energy attached to Umbreon. It's in the active, so one of these cards is going to go back into the deck. Probably the Gust. We'll see. There are 2 Comp Search. And the energy removal is going to go to the bin. That actually makes sense. Sorry, not to the bin, back into the deck. It'll be shuffled and then one will be drawn. So the opponent does not go negative, but it is disruptive. And Hand Peep is very strong. Alright, that looks like a pass. So Umbreon, not the biggest body. It's got 80 HP, which is still very good for a stage 1. But Zubat dealing 30 when it is already at 10 is helpful. We could see that DCE bounced off a Magikarp to the hand and then attached to Umbreon. Looks like instead that DCE is going to get sniped. We were talking about this earlier, about gusting in the Magikarp and potentially knocking it out, taking that DCE off the board, not letting Espeon retrieve it. Grass comes down to attach to Jigglypuff, and that is our second prize of the day here. Espeon gets promoted to active as a free retreater. You can see a removal in hand for Gyarados' side. Not sure where you're going to want to put that. Assumedly you save it for DCEs on Jigglypuff. But Zubat's doing plenty of work right now. Pure hilarity that Abra could come down and double tap the Espeon with Energy Loop. Worth highlighting. And a hard decision here. The Warp is in hand. Probably want to get Umbreon going. A Darkness Energy on Umbreon would also allow these Zubats to get cleaned up in one shot. It only has 40 HP. Shadow Bind is 30. That then prevents your retreat. Alright, Dark Mooning here. Might throw out the double gust just because you have a Magikarp sitting there, but it's going to be energy removal again, really trying to preserve, I think it was energy removal, trying to preserve Rainbow Energy so that Dark Moon can keep happening. Yep, it was energy removal. Energy removal of Gyarados' own coming down. Energy stalling out that active Zubat. Ooh. Okay. Boost energy means that we can Shadow Bind here. It only did 30 though, but it does stall that Zubat in the active, assuming there's no warp. Energy removal drawn again. And there's only 3 cards in hand, so unless there's a DCE, that Umbreon's not going to be able to clean this up. You can see a Cyclone in hand. Not sure what would be the optimal fetch with computer search. Like I was saying, unsure if there are any warps. I know we deck peeped earlier, but I don't think I saw any. Double Gust will break Shadow Bind though, that's fair. Jigglypuff gets gusted. Could pull in that Magikarp. You have 2 comp searches. You can go and grab a DCE and a Wigglytuff if you want to discard most things. Brings in the Sentret. That's also a good knockout here. Thinking about what to comp search for. Alright, we'll see if both come down. I would definitely pitch the Abra and the Psychic Energy. It's going to pitch 2 energy instead, and another comp search. Okay, yeah, so the Abra line and then a removal along with a Cyclone Energy. Those were 2 quick grabs. I assume that was DCE and Tough. Both come down, and a Shaman to wipe the hand. Well done. Just enough cards to pull off all 3. Now, Gyarados didn't have many cards to begin with, so Shaman here, probably not the most miserable thing to see. Could have clutched it. Could have held on to it for when there was a little more hope. But Do the Wave is enough to get the knockout on Sentret here. Coming off a Shaman, there's a Tyrogue that could fill bench. There's another Jigglypuff, would rather drop that, and a DCE. It's a pretty good looking Shaman. Not sure what Gyarados grabbed, but looks like they did grab a Gyarados, so maybe we see all that energy go away. Prizes are now 3 to 6 off of the Sentret knockout. Magikarp comes in. So we're definitely going to potentially see some energy removal. Water energy attaches first, and here comes the Flame Vapor. Since it's active, flip 2 coins, discard an energy attached to the defending Pokemon for each head. So this could be Wigglytuff powered down to 0. There's one at least. It's both. Okay. Full removal on the Wigglytuff. Pretty big swing. And then an Oak, discarding Oak and Trader. There's a Darkness, Eevee, Shaman, Cleffa, Warp, another Magikarp, and a removal. That's a pretty good hand. Clutch onto that removal for another DCE. Cleffa comes down. Still not enough energy to really get attacking on Gyarados' side. Got to plan this out a little bit. Full bench now, though, with Magikarp and Eevee coming down off of that Oak. Gonna use the ER, take Grass off of Zubat. Ooh, and a pretty good Shaman there. We knew there was a DCE in hand. Another Puff. A Grass Energy as well, maybe 2 from prizing up. That was a pretty good Shaman. That was probably a pretty tempting hand to keep for Gyarados as well. But there's no room on the bench to get a Furret line up and running, so finding energy for Gyarados is going to take a minute here. Hopefully, did they draw into a Warp? No, there's a DCE though. Alright, and a Cleffa comes down for Wigglytuff, filling the bench. Psychic Energy to Tough. Looks like we're just going to see a Lullaby. Put that Gyarados to sleep, flip between turns. And we'll see if it wakes up. It does not. That's alright though. Warp doesn't care. Sentret was drawn. That's too bad considering the bench is now full. Looks like we're going to trade her for a Gyarados, so that sent it back in. Gotta get that Gyarados active though if you want to take advantage of Flame Vapor. Alright, passing turn, Gyarados wakes up. Alright, there's a Gust, a Grass Energy, looks like a Puff and a Cleffa. So no attacking coming yet from Wigglytuff, but it's a-coming. They could be energy screwed though. Really just a matter of who can power up first here. 60 keeps Gyarados just under the desired threshold to fire Dragon's Vengeance for 100. There is a Rainbow Energy that could be bounced though. That'll get it there. Fails to wake up, very unfortunate. If you're taking 60, throwing down a Rainbow here. Instead it's a Warp, that'll wake him up. Throws in the Magikarp. Could have just started swinging. But it looks like we're going to go for a Vapor. So this will be another ER attempt. A little risky. Just one. So Grass comes off, you can warp the Gyarados out next round. Would have preferred to see a free retreat into some attacking here. Taking Wigglytuff off the board would be a big deal, but Gyarados can one-shot all the Zubats. And no energy in hand for Tuff. There was a Focus Band, not attached to anything though. Would consider throwing that on Tuff. Puts Gyarados to sleep again. And this time it's awake. Doesn't matter though, you know there's a Warp in hand. Now there's a Darkness, we'll keep an eye on that. Rainbow goes to Gyarados, that's what we were talking about last turn, getting that initial 10 so that Do the Wave puts it to 70. That turns Dragon's Vengeance into a 100 damage swing. And a pass, so you know that Warp's coming down next turn. Lullaby again, still not enough energy to do anything, or any at all for that matter. Is that another Darkness drawn? There might be two in hand here. There's the Warp. Warp is going to immediately get pulled back to hand with Espeon, but that was attached for turn. We're going to pull in the other Gyarados, and we're going to see a Dragon's Vengeance for 50. And worth noting, Gyarados from E-Reader, it's Lightning Week. It's not Grass Week like the original Gyarados printings were, so those Zubats are not hitting for super effective. Can't really see what's in hand there. There's the DCE, a little late. Wigglytuff can get one swing off, and then it's gonna be tough sledding. Looks like we're going for it. Gonna use a Focus Band. Gives a coin flip's chance for success on either end. Worth noting, Dragon's Vengeance is now going to deal 100 damage. Ooh, Darkness Energy attaching to the Gyarados, so keep an eye on those damage counters. Dragon's Vengeance, let's see how this Focus Band hits. If Tuff, well, it's a Tails. Alright, Tuff is knocked out. That's a big deal. Gyarados survives. Otherwise, Do the Wave was going to knock out the Gyarados in response. That's just how the Focus Bands go sometimes. So that is a prize for Gyarados. Prizing is 3 to 5. Gyarados on bench with Darkness Energy ticks to 10 in between turns. Looks like the other Gyarados is getting gusted, the one with darkness energy on it. Keep in mind, the Gyarados on the bench now, even though Dragon's Vengeance is at 100 damage, Gyarados is 20 HP away from a knockout. And Cleffa will come in to Eek with that metal energy on it. We know there's a warp though. Gyarados is now ticked to 20 with that darkness energy attached. A second Espeon comes down. Curious if we'll see some rainbow energy shenanigans there. Gyarados will warp out. Now it has 2 attaches to bring in the fully powered one with Dragon's Vengeance online. Metal energy won't do much here, but Focus Band could. Cleffa's Baby Rule coming up big there. It's a Tails. No damage for Gyarados. Now the bench Gyarados ticks to 30. Yeah, that's a pretty good looking Ecan. Saw a bunch of energy. I don't see a Wigglytuff in there. Do I see a Comp Search? No, I think that's an Oak. Yeah. I mean, coming in and using Pound is a knockout, so do that. Attaches a Grass to Zubat. Yeah, here comes Jigglypuff. Taking him to Pound Town. That's 20 damage. That's a full knockout on Gyarados. That's a prize. Prizing now 2-5 in favor of Wigglytuff. And yet no Wigglytuff in sight. In between turns again, damage ticks to 40 on the bench Gyarados. A lot of energy also off the board from that knockout. Quick bin check. Darkness energy from hand to Umbreon. Might see some Umbreon action. Lots of darkness on the board. There'd be some pretty crazy dark mooning if you get to rip for 3. And it looks like a pass, leaving Cleffa active. Did they remember to do the damage tick to Gyarados there? There it is. Now it's up to 50, but it needs a water energy to attack. It only has a colorless and a darkness on it right now. It's not really close to attacking, and it's hemorrhaging HP every turn. There's a tough... Uh-oh. Do the wave attempt. It's good. Takes Cleffa. 1 prize left for Wigglytuff. 5 on Gyarados' side. Alright, gotta promote active before drawing. We don't have an active. DCE gets energy removal. There we go. Darkness energy is going to get bounced. 10 energy shy of turning on Dragon's Vengeance, so that feels weird. But it makes sense, because Umbreon's going to come in. And that'll get Shadow Bind with that darkness attached. There's 2 darkness for damage augmentation. That'll get Shadow Bind up to 50. And you get to rip 3 here with Dark Moon. And there are a lot of options. Funny enough, Tyrogue can hit super effective against Umbreon. So Oak gets tossed. Energy removal, I think, as well. And a Grass energy. Trying to energy stall a little bit here. Those go into the deck. Shuffle. Then you draw 3, but the decks are kind of thin. You could just draw all 3 again. Umbreon definitely better earlier on, when those cards you put away are harder to find again. And 50 from Shadow Bind, so no retreating for Tough here. A DCE would be crushing. Oak put away most likely so that... Oh, no. Is there an Oak in hand? I think he did just draw back into that Oak. I mean, I would just Oak and go get that DCE. Counting DCEs in bin, there's 3. 4th one in the deck, as we know, I think. Oh, no, it's in hand. What am I talking about? So the draw for turn was that ER, which means Oak, Grass, and DCE all came back off a Dark Moon. And that's going to be game. ER Darkness anyway. Wait, is it game? How much damage here? 5 on the bench. So that's 60 to Umbreon. I cannot read that die to save my life. I think Umbreon will be 10 damage away from being knocked out. I haven't seen any damage augmentation in this tough deck. No strength charms or plus powers to speak of. Definitely run out of cards in deck. Alright, and he's gonna do the wave. So I think that Umbreon is 10 HP away from a knockout. 1 Darkness Energy was removed. It should still be able to attack this turn and knock out Wigglytuff, though. And the real question is, well, we know there's a Grass Energy in hand for that Zubat to come in and clean up. Yep. Hard to see a way out here for Gyarados. Water Energy from hand. Dark Mooning for 2. Double Oak. Not that you would Oak with that small of a deck anyway. No room on bench. Energy removal and Grass Energy will go back into the deck. That's actually a pretty big deal. That Zubat wants that Grass Energy. Running real low on energy. Running low on cards too, but you get to draw 2 and then there's 1 for turn coming. So Wigglytuff goes down. Second prize of the match for Gyarados comes off of that Umbreon. And a draw here. There's a Grass Energy, so that'll do it. Zubat will take the knockout on Umbreon. And the last prize is a Desert Shaman. So thank you for watching. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. We'll catch you later.